Hi, Breda McCague here. Delighted to be part of the Women in IT Summit this year. I'm actually coming to you live from Ireland, and London is one of my favourite cities, so absolutely delighted to be part of this collection of speakers with you this week. A little bit about me to start. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm usually found in conferences, big events, and also with corporates. So I go in and talk to teams, big, large groups of people, and help them understand their fears, help them get empowered and motivated. And I want them all going for awesome, not average. So that's one of the things I do. I've also worked with financial services in IT transformation for over 20 years. I've worked with global teams, remote teams, all sorts. So I get the IT world and the transformation world. I co-founded Lean in Ireland in 2017 with some other fabulous women, and I'm still a co-chair of that program. And basically we run events and some coaching and other articles on women and empowerment, and we aim to help women achieve their ambitions. And through all of that work, I've ended up quite the career coach for men and women. Do a bit of life coaching and career coaching, performance coaching, and all sorts of coaching. So it's been a super experience. I spent 20 years in the Reserve Defence Forces. I joined when I was a 17-year-old girl, no military background and no idea what I was doing, and I loved it. But it did probably release the diversity advocate in me, because I was one of the first bunch of girls allowed in, and a lot of the men that would have been there for years said to me, Breda, women shouldn't have been allowed into this. You're only 5'1" and you won't be able to handle the mortars. So I had to prove them wrong. And I spent 20 years in it, and I loved every minute of it. It was super from a coaching point of view, leadership point of view, training point of view. And I was their first female lieutenant commissioned in 1999. I joined a rock band when I was just turning 40. I had played music as a kid. And then when I was having the kids, my own kids, I have 3 boys. I have Dara, who's 13, Jamie is 9, and Kyle is 5. I had given up music and thought I'd never get back to it again. And then an opportunity came along, heading for 40, to go into a rock band. And I hadn't lifted an instrument in 10 years. And I said yes. And it was the best thing I've ever done, because now I play gigs here and there for fundraising initiatives with a rock band. And it's super cool and I love it. I'm a massive social media fan as well. I learned a lot myself from my own social media feeds about motivation, empowerment, leadership, all the positivity. And so now I'm trying to give back and make sure that I do the same. So come along and see what I'm sharing on social media and see, can you learn from it as well? So now to you, pause, plot, and pivot. As we know, we are in the middle of a major pandemic. Very strange times that we're in from every point of view, from your career, from your life, from your day-to-day routine. It's odd. However, we have lots of evidence that we can grow in recessions, and that is what I am all about. Rather than just assume that recession is a rough time and things are going to get worse on you, why not change that lens? Look at things a little bit differently. It's a natural time for pivots and restarts, and it's the perfect time for change, because we were all hurtling along at high speeds and then we all do a stop at the same time. That's the perfect opportunity for you to rethink, restart, reshuffle, replan, think properly about your long-term goals. Now is the ideal time. So there's companies as well that have proved that the impossible is possible. And I just want to show you them so that you have a little bit of inspiration to go by. So little did we know, but Microsoft, I'm not sure if you're aware, but that was founded in the middle of an oil embargo recession. I'm using a Microsoft tablet to talk to you today. You're probably, many of you use Microsoft products as well. There you go. They changed your life, and they did that in the middle of a recession. You have Uber, you have Airbnb, all of them. In Great Recession in 2009, they started. You have Hewlett-Packard, Burger King, which is one of my favorites. You have hotels, you had IBM, you also had Disney in the middle of a Great Depression. So if they can do that and have a legacy and a company that goes on for years and we're still using our products, why can't you do something amazing in the middle of a recession? The ideal time. Find new ways is my new mantra, because you can't do things the way you used to quite often, and some people just give up at that. And I'm saying to you, I want you to instill the words find new ways into your mind. So when you're telling yourself you can't do something, I want you to go with the find new ways and challenge yourself to find some other alternative way of doing it. You can still do it and you can do it just as well. If you want to grow your career in lockdown, it just takes stronger communication skills and more online visibility. Now, that is not rocket science. That's easy stuff to do. Easy, honestly. So staying in the forefront of people's mind is easy to do in lockdown if you use your online channels well and often. Now, this is an online channel that we're working with today. And here I am and here you are. You can do this. It's easy. Consider what it is that CEOs, COOs, CFOs, and chief people officers are concerned with right now, plus your communities and your societies, and come up with ideas to help them. And then go and share those on those social media channels. Don't be afraid. The beliefs behind your decision making. I want to teach you a little bit about what I have learned. You have your subconscious mind and you have your conscious mind, and one is impacting the other continuously. Your decision making, a lot of it starts in your conscious mind and most of it finishes then, and your conclusions are coming from your subconscious mind. You have 2,500 thoughts an hour running through your mind, and I want to ask you today, do you know what they are? Most people don't. Most people don't realize they have that amount of thoughts running through their mind every hour. And I guarantee you, if I sat down with you to coach you, I would find a lot of fear and a lot of negative beliefs in there. And I want you to think about the decisions that you've made in the past. Would you say they were really brave decisions? Would you say you've said no to opportunities? Are you doing it at the moment? There's a good chance you might be. So it's about testing yourself, challenging your thinking, making your awareness that bit brighter about how your mind is working, and you will make crisper, better decisions. I get you from average to awesome with that. Information that you're absorbing. At the minute, there's a lot of bad news out there. So what press are you listening to? What social media are you absorbing? Is it all positive? Or would you say you're a wee bit addicted to the news around the world? Because I can tell you have a negativity bias there from you were a kid. When we were in a cave, we needed it because it kept us alive, and we don't need it anymore. So if you're absorbing more negativity and more bad news, you're influencing that subconscious mind that everything is bad and everything is impossible right now. And I want you to change that. Who are your 5 influencers? Do you know that the 5 people that you spend time with a day, and it may not be in a real world, it may not be who's in your home at the moment, it may be virtually. Who are you spending your headspace with? Because you will become the 5 people that you spend time with. And always be careful, because one of those 5 these days is your social media feed. A lot of people don't spot that. But if you're absorbing social media as often as I think you are, then that is influencing your thought patterns, your decision making, and your belief in yourself. I'm doing some myth busters for you now, because here are some of the statements that I find buried in people's subconscious mind from your conditioning as a kid. And I need you to change that to get you into really, really strong self-belief and empowered you and going for things and getting you to awesome, not average. Some of the conditioning statements that you would have maybe buried in there are, or you may have heard other people say when you were younger, self-praise is no praise. And I can tell you that, just slash that one for me. Self-praise is the only praise worth having, because what you believe about yourself is how you're going to impact that whole world of yours will be impacted by that, not actually other people's praise. If you believe in yourself, things will work out for you. So self-praise is no praise. Draw a line through that. Self-praise is everything. And I want you to think about how you're talking to yourself most of the time. What's your inner voice like? Are you praising yourself? Are you using your inner coach? Because many people I work with are not. And you should see the transformation in people when they start to do that. It is magic. Some people tell me in lockdown, I can't do anything about it. We're in the middle of lockdown. And I would ask you to slash that one too, because you can do anything you want. You just have to find new ways. Your goal doesn't change, folks. The duration of the length of time that it's going to take you to get there might do, and you might have to go a different route, but you can do loads about it. You just have to find alternative ways of doing whatever it was you had your heart set on. If you hadn't your heart set on something, that's a whole different issue. We need goals for you. Some people tell me when I'm coaching them that it's too late for them. They're too old, they're too young, they're too skinny, they're too fat, too tall, or too small. And the amount of people that I find are telling themselves reasons why they can't do something is astounding. I want you to scratch that one as well. And I want you to start telling yourself reasons that you should do stuff. Get your goals. Why wouldn't you? I don't care whether you're fat, tall, small, thin. It doesn't matter. It's what you believe in yourself will get you to your goal. None of the excuses are allowed anymore. So scratch them. Some people tell me I wouldn't be capable of that role. Really? I beg to differ, because I have seen people not believing in themselves, doing their mind mastery and their self-mastery into self-belief, and they just absolutely trash the role that they thought they couldn't do. All you need to do is believe you can do it, and you will be right. Then others tell me I couldn't commit the hours for that role. And I'm like, right. So how many hours are you doing right now? So I find a lot of people that are doing long hours think they couldn't go for a more senior role or change position because it would take them too many hours every week. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's another excuse, because you're probably already doing long hours, but I want you to get paid more for it. Why not? And the next one is I could never ask for that much pay. So people seem to think that they don't deserve good pay. Another one to get the line through, because abundance is something that you're born with. Abundance is something that you deserve. And all of this rubbish about not wanting to earn more is damaging, because I can tell you poverty and just getting by is not pretty. Abundance is where you need to be going, because you need to believe you deserve it. The only thing that can stop you is that F word. I use another F word sometimes too, but this one is fear. First one is fear of failure. And I am meeting that all of the time with everybody that I'm working with. We are so afraid to try things and it might go wrong. Well, I can tell you now, there is no such thing as failure. There is only learning. Someone said to me yesterday, what do you do, Breda, when you're afraid to fail? And I said, I don't fail. I learn. I take on things that I'm afraid to do, feel the fear and do it anyway. You won't fail. You might learn something as you go that you didn't already know. So there's a plus. The fear of change is another one. Because I work in change, I see so much resistance to change. I see people panicking and going into shock when change hits them. And I can tell you, change is something that you better get good at and get used to, because your life is going to be full of it. If it's not the coronavirus, it will be something else. It'll be something in your personal life, your career, your family life, who knows? The only thing you can do is get very good at change. Be flexible, be adaptable, find the opportunities within it and grow with it. Fear of the unknown. We love certainty. Maslow hierarchy of needs. We wanted certainty. We don't have certainty. Life isn't like that. So get used to dabbling in things that are uncertain to you, because that's where you'll grow. We all know that comfort zones, everything gets stale in there. Get yourself out of your comfort zone, push yourself and grow. Fear of success is a weird one, because you may or may not have heard self-sabotage mentioned. Some people actually get good at things and they actually stop themselves then because they're afraid they're getting too good. They're worrying more about what people will think of them and where it will bring them and would they be able to handle it. And I would say put a line through that as well. You deserve success. Go for it. Just believe in yourself. Bust your own barriers. Your decisions in your journey so far. Everybody I have sat down with so far that I've coached, I find fear-driven decisions all the way through their life. And I want you just to become aware of that and start learning to spot that happening before you make a decision, either a yes or a no. It's usually a no. You want to find yourself, test yourself. Is that fear? Because it usually is. And I can undo it with people. But I want you to learn how to do this yourself. Spot the fear, undo it, stick it in the trash, and go and take on whatever it is. Say yes. Your flight or fight principles, you're not in a cave and no one is going to eat you. The reason you have a negativity bias that we mentioned, the reason you have fear in there already is because once upon a time you were in a cave and fear was keeping you alive. But you're not in a cave. Fear is just damaging every one of us. So we need to get rid of that fear and we need to go for stuff. Far easier, honestly. You will thank me. So lack of self-care and not taking time to recognize your success and achievements to date is also damaging. So you've got to overcome fear, got to teach yourself when it appears, and you've got to deal with it. And then you've also got to celebrate your successes. Be your own inner coach. It's life transformation at its best. Don't forget to do that. Okay, so this is liberation and cutting those chains, because Everybody I work with and everywhere I look, I see people that are just going for average. We all want to get by. I disagree. I think there's far too much average in this world, and I want us aiming for awesome. I want our kids to see us aiming for awesome. We can be awesome. It's a decision we've got to make. 97% of people in the world are average. That's because that's what we see around us. There's only about 3% in the world that actually make massive change in the world. They live a life of proper, true abundance, but they give back and they can change the world. They can influence others. And I want more of us up in that 3%. 97% of average is way too much. We can do better, folks. We were born with potential. We are not using it all. We're not even using a fraction of it. So please, for me today, try and figure out why you're still in that comfort zone of yours. What are you not taking on? Where are the opportunities that you could be creating or finding or taking? And bloody go for it. Bust it. So this is a special one I did because this is the Women in IT Summit. Average is easy. Always remember that. Average is just the default because you'll see loads of that around you. It's the awesome that takes practice. It just takes practice. Some of the tips I've already given you, some of the stuff that I share over social media, Google is full of it. If you want to find out how to be awesome, just go look it up. Now, over to you to turn my words and our collective thoughts during this seminar into actions. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We go now to Q&A.
Oh, so much. I absolutely love your energy. I love your passion. And guess what? I'm not the only one. Our attendees have been sending you praise through the Q&A that you are a queen, that they feel super energized. So I'm so grateful. And what a way to end today. How are you feeling?
Super duper. I'm delighted to get motivating so many of you and empowering you, because I just think we have so much more we could do. We have so much more we could do, and we need to learn how to do that. We'll be amazing. We'll all be awesome.
Amazing. I love that. We're aiming for awesome, not average. It is possible. So really good points there. Also the myth busters that I made a note of. Absolutely love that. I have to mention one of my favorite parts was that I could see that we have some things in common. One being that we are both 5'1", and that we have had people tell us that we shouldn't or couldn't do things, and we love to prove them wrong. So we're together on that one. Also, the opportunity that we see here with examples of companies that started in recessions, in difficult times, those that have flourished and have done so well. So thank you so much for highlighting those examples. I think what we sometimes lack is those clear examples to prove us wrong, maybe, with that mentality of we can't do it, it's not the best time. Is that the message you wanted to get through?
Yes, that is exactly it. And what I want us to do is look for the inspiration that we need, because it's not hard to find the negative stories, but you have to dig a little bit for the inspiration and stories, but they're always there. And no matter what you think you can't do, you will find that someone else has done it successfully in the most horrific circumstances. So you just need to look a little bit harder, look globally, look on the big global stage and find people who inspire you, companies who inspire you. And then success is repeatable. You don't even have to start from scratch. Just see what they did and do that.
Fantastic. We don't have to reinvent the wheel sometimes, if it's not broke, don't fix it, is what we've seen. I've got quite a few. Bloody go for it. I love it. Thank you. Wonderful comment. Thank you to your audience. I do have a more serious question here, though. How do we keep focus on slowing down and allowing for space for personal and social changes as we and the world rushes to anxiously get back to this normal side of things?
Okay. So I think what lockdown has done for many of us is it has shown us how things could be different on a day-to-day basis. And what I would ask you all to do is see what bits you really liked. See what bits you actually really benefited from. Some people never meditated until they found themselves in lockdown. So whatever it was that worked for you, whether it's meditation, music, or exercise, You've got to find ways of integrating that into your new normal, because why would you let that go? And the bad news is that no one is going to do this for you. You have to take control, and you have to make sure that you schedule these things into your life. How else do I manage to do all these little bits that are so important to me? I diarize them. Nobody else will do this for you. You've got to take the reins. You've got to figure out the little bits that are really benefiting you, that you want to continue for the rest of your life, or you want to grow and you want to develop. And you've got to find ways of squeezing them into that diary and making sure they happen. Otherwise, in 6 months, you will be back to doing what you were doing in January. And no one, I don't think, wants that. I think we've all learned, we've been through a lot. I think we've learned some really hard lessons. Let's not lose those. But only you can do that for yourself.
Definitely, completely agree. It's that idea of we need to move forward, not look back. Also, the idea that actually comes to one of the questions that our attendees have is, if it's not meditation and you've never done it before, meditation might not work for everybody. It's like you say, finding what works for you. For me personally, it is sports. I absolutely love to go for a run or take the basketball out and go to the local court and just shoot some hoops, just to distract my mind and have a bit of a break. It doesn't have to be meditation. Please don't feel like it has to. And do you think that's a valid point? Do you agree with that, Breda?
Yeah, I for me, it's probably music is the biggest one. I've been doing a lot of sort of mind control tricks and tips on my social media for people, because sometimes you'll find yourself in a very dark space. You'll wonder why you're in bad form. That's how people usually describe it to me. I'm in bad form and I'm not sure why. And it's because all of your thoughts are running in the wrong direction. So I do bits and pieces of that on social media for people to sort of help themselves, little tips on how to change that. But I think music is a big one for me. It's a very easy one to do. Even if you're ending up back in an office situation, get your earphones in and get something maybe bright and punchy on your playlist and work away to it till you see how your mood lifts. Music's magic. So it's an easy one to do. Exercise is another brilliant one, because if your mind is racing and you're overthinking and you feel bad, get your runners on you, get your trainers on and out onto a road. Even if it's going for a walk, get your music on, because your body's busy. And all of a sudden that overthinking stops and you get yourself clarity. It's where I do my strategizing. Some of my best thinking time is when I'm running around the place in my trainers, thinking of philosophy. So that's what you should be at. Try some of those.
Great tip. There was also one that I wanted to bring up where you mentioned, coming out of your comfort zone in certain situations. I personally have heard another statement of expanding the comfort zone. So feeling like it is something more normal and comfortable that you can now include as part of your skills or your repertoire. How do you feel about both those statements?
So they say your comfort zone is where you go stale. And I would agree with them, because if you find you're stale, you're probably in your comfort zone. I would say the first stage is awareness, to figure that out, actually realize that. In your comfort zone, you can take baby steps and you can expand your comfort zone, bring some of your new challenges and new sort of achievements into it, or you can just jump out of it. And I think I probably jump out of my comfort zone a lot more. I make myself do things that I don't want to do regularly. I say yes to things that I have no idea how to do. One of my favorite quotes is by Sheryl Sandberg. If you're asked to take a seat on a rocket ship, don't ask which seat, just say yes and get on it. So I am a devil for pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I'm always doing things that scare the life of me. And I think the reason I like doing that is because it's a massive sense of achievement when you've done that to yourself, because you always nail it. People are just afraid to do it. And fear is the biggest blocker you have. So it's about trying to realize that fear, spotting it, being aware of it, and then addressing it, giving it its treatment, and then just going for it.
Absolutely. Great point. Great point there. I actually have one final question that I wanted to ask, which is one of our attendees went through 5 stages of an interview for her dream job, his dream job, and didn't make it. So obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of feelings of sadness, of disappointment. What do you say to that? What's the advice?
So I think everybody's been through this. I've been through this. Everybody I know has been through this. And the first thing that will help you is not to take that personally. When something goes wrong that you have set your heart on and you have dreamed about and you think that is your role, you can see yourself in it, and you put everything on it. And when it doesn't happen, yeah, it's disappointment. But I would say to you, do not take it personally, because you don't know why that hiring manager hasn't gone for you. There are buckets of reasons, and most of them probably aren't to do with you. So that's massively important, that you don't take it personally. You don't take yourself away and give yourself a kicking, because that will just damage your confidence. What we need you to do there is deal with that. Leave yourself a little bit of time to sit with it. Yes, be sad. Yes, that's okay, right? So you didn't get, that's fine. But what you need to do then is start thinking, oh, well, they're lost. Look how much energy you had put into that. Here you are asking a question about it. So it was so important. Their loss, right? So there's bigger things for you somewhere along your path, and only hindsight is really going to show you where they are. So I would not kick myself over that one, and I don't beat myself up anymore if I don't get what I think I want, because there's a bigger path there for you that you don't even know about. So I would say keep your mind open, keep doing what you were doing, and something else will fall into your path that is for you. And you look back in 5 years and you'll go, thank God I didn't get that. I have done that loads of times. Loads of people do that. So don't take it personally. Keep going. Put all your effort into something else, and it will work out for you. Persistence is everything.
Thanks so much, Breda. What a way to end. Great advice. Thank you to all of our attendees. The questions keep coming in, Breda. I don't know if we can get them to stop here. So I'm going to make sure that all those questions get saved and sent over to you so that you can complete them and share your thoughts and help everyone. And we'll make sure that we get that out to you and share it on the community platform. Okay. So don't worry. They're not being left out. They will be tended to. And Breda, thank you once again for joining us. I do appreciate it. We are now going to come to a close, everyone. I can't believe it. Thank you again to all of our speakers. Thank you to our sponsors, HSBC, Red Hat, Rolls-Royce, SailPoint, and Frank Recruitment Group. I hope that you will continue the conversation through social media, through the networking. Make sure you're getting in touch with everybody. Start the conversation here on the platform. You know how to do it now. And tomorrow is day 3, our final day of the Women in IT Virtual Summit.